Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz Czerwiński. Oil prices surged more than 25% during early Monday trading to their highest levels since mid-2022, as fears grew over an extended war in the Middle East. Energy markets are particularly nervous because the crisis is unfolding around the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly one-fifth of the world's oil supply normally passes. Iraq and Kuwait have begun cutting oil output, and analysts expect the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia to also reduce output as soon as they run out of oil storage. Energy infrastructure has also been hit in Iran and across the Gulf region. Brent crude futures were up 24.96 US dollars, or 27%, to 117.65 US dollars in early trading. Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, was elected to replace his father following Khamenei's death in an U.S. Israeli airstrike. The official announcement was made on Iranian state TV in the early hours of Monday morning. The 56-year-old Mojtaba Khamenei has largely kept a low profile and never held a government office nor given any public speeches. The mid-level cleric has, however, long been rumoured to hold considerable influence behind the scenes and viewed by many as a potential successor to his father. He is said to have a strong following within Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, as well as his dead father's still influential office. According to some experts, his selection might prove controversial, given that the Islamic Republic was founded based on the principle that the supreme leader should be chosen for his religious standing and proven leadership, not through hereditary succession. Richard Girogosian, founding director of the independent think tank Regional Studies Center, said the war in the Middle East might lead to Iranians fleeing into neighboring Armenia. He added that ongoing attacks on oil and gas infrastructure could spark further escalation in the region.
For Armenia, there is genuine concern. What we see is two deeper trends at play that directly affect Armenia. First is the consistent escalation over the war against Iran. Second is the expansion of the physical battle space. And this is where the attacks on neighboring Azerbaijan are most significant. For Armenia, there's also concern that at some point the conflict will spill over, perhaps with a potential influx of Iranians seeking to escape the war. Iranian military attacks targeting the energy infrastructure in the Gulf. To the north, there's also the danger of attacks directed at the oil and gas energy infrastructure running through the South Caucasus as well.
At least 32 people were wounded in an Iranian drone strike near the capital of Bahrain in the latest round of Middle East hostilities, reverberating through the region. Black smoke was also seen rising from Bahrain's Bapco oil refinery, which the local authorities say sustained damage in an Iranian drone strike. Explosions were also reported in Kuwait and the Qatari capital Doha. Iran also attacked Israel, launching missiles and drones towards Haifa, Jerusalem and Tel Aviv shortly after Mojtaba Khamenei was announced as the new supreme leader. The U.S. and Israel, meanwhile, continued to launch attacks against Iran, with explosions reported in Qom and Tehran, hours after Israeli attacks on oil facilities caused toxic smoke to cover parts of the Iranian capital. The IDF also continues its operations against Hezbollah units in Lebanon, where at least 6 people have been killed in the last 24 hours. The U.S. ordered all non-essential diplomatic staff in Saudi Arabia to leave as a result of continuing hostilities. The first group of Ukrainian military experts will depart for the Middle East on Monday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said at a joint press conference prior to a meeting with Dutch Prime Minister Rob Jetten.
We've got some messages how to help people, how to help civilians in the Middle East, and also how to help American soldiers who are in the bases in some countries. And we said that we will send experts and we will provide everything they need to save them.
In the coming days and weeks with our European allies, we will see what we can do to coordinate, work closely together, but also to call upon our partners in the Middle East, because I strongly believe that the partners in the Middle East can learn a lot from the Ukrainian experience, but perhaps can also provide Ukraine with some necessary ammunitions that are not effective in the Middle East attacks, but could be effective here on the battlefield.
In Germany, the Greens are set to win a state election in the southern region of Baden-Württemberg, according to initial forecasts after polls closed on Sunday.
This is a sensational result. It's fantastic. And what a positive signal from Baden-Württemberg to the rest of Germany that the citizens of Baden-Württemberg have opted for confidence and courage rather than a return to the past.
Depending on the poll, we gained 5 to 6%, but we still didn't win. We wanted to become the strongest political force in Baden-Württemberg and form a CDU-led state government. And from the looks of it, that is not the case. The Greens have made significant gains.
We achieved the largest increase of all parties here, and it is the best result in the state elections in Baden-Württemberg. We have achieved a very good result and can be very satisfied with that.
I have to talk to you about what this election result means for us. An election result that sees us in single digits. An election result that, according to initial projections, sees us close to the 5% threshold. And at this moment, I find it really difficult to find the words.
In Turkey, the jailed mayor of Istanbul is on trial in a major corruption case. Ekrem İmamoğlu, a leading rival to President Erdogan, denies the charges. The trial comes as authorities pursue a wider series of cases against members of the country's main opposition party. Outside the courthouse, lawyers, journalists and supporters of the opposition Republican People's Party gathered ahead of the hearing, passing through tight security. Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu appeared in court Monday at the Silivri prison complex west of the city, where he has been held for nearly a year now. Prosecutors accuse İmamoğlu and more than 400 defendants linked to the Istanbul municipality of corruption and bribery. He and his Republican People's Party deny the allegations. İmamoğlu has been widely seen as a possible challenger to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who has led Turkey for more than 2 decades. Rights groups say the case raises concerns about pressure on the opposition, while the government says the judiciary operates independently. Hungary's election campaign is turning increasingly bitter, with accusations of foreign meddling now flying in both directions. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán and opposition leader Péter Magyar are trading claims involving Russia and Ukraine, as well as allegations of suspicious cash shipments, all just weeks before a high-stakes vote on the 12th of April. Randy Potts has the story.
At a campaign rally this weekend, Hungarian opposition leader Péter Magyar leveled a bombshell accusation, claiming agents from Russia's military intelligence service, GRU, have arrived in Budapest to interfere in the election.
Since 1956, Viktor Orbán is the first to invite the Russians into our country. We demand an immediate end to foreign interference in the Hungarian elections.
Independent reports have linked this alleged operation to Sergei Kiriyenko, a Kremlin official previously accused of running influence campaigns and troll farms in Moldova.
According to the confidential information, 3 Russian officers of the GRU, the Russian military secret service, deployed to Budapest in diplomatic coverage and diplomatic cover, and they started to have their government campaign.
Allegations of foreign meddling have also been leveled by Orbán's government, which recently detained 7 employees of Ukraine's state-owned Oshad Bank. Although the employees have since been released, the bank says its vehicles and valuables have still not been returned. Oshad Bank was using 2 separate vehicles to transport 40 million, 35 million euros in cash, and around 9 kilograms of gold.
We demand an explanation as to why the Ukrainians have transported such a staggering amount of cash through Hungary in recent months. What is the money being used for, and whose money is it?
As Hungarian officials accuse the Ukrainian bank of money laundering, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha called Hungary's detention of Ukrainian citizens a provocation.
We will not allow kidnapping, and this is also an act of hijacking Ukrainian property. We also see the Russian trace here.
On the campaign trail in Hungary this weekend, Prime Minister Viktor Orban suggested pro-Ukrainian voices within Hungary are being paid by external sources and suggested the recent seizure of Ukrainian cash and gold was proof.
We just want to know what the Ukrainians are doing with this vast amount of money in Hungary.
Throughout the campaign, Orban's focus has not just been his main opponent.
Tensions not only with the challenger, Peter Magyar, who is a real challenger, but with the EU on the one hand and with Ukraine on the other hand. And this is the traditional strategy of Orban, singling out some enemies, in quotation marks, and he comes as the great savior, as the defender of Hungary.
As both Orban and Magyar gear up for even larger rallies on March 15th, a national holiday in Hungary, independent polls show Magyar's opposition TISA party leading the race. Elections are scheduled for April 12th. For TVP World, Randy Potts.
Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico will block EU funds to Ukraine should Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban lose the upcoming elections. Fico announced his plan to follow in the footsteps of his Hungarian counterpart in a video published on Facebook on Sunday. Hungary is currently blocking the €90 billion EU loan to Ukraine in hopes of forcing Kyiv to restart the Druzhba pipeline, which was taken offline in January. Earlier this month, Zelensky said that repairs would take more than a month and could only be possible during a ceasefire, adding that he would prefer not to repair the pipeline at all. Slovakia and Hungary are the only remaining EU countries relying on Russian crude transported through the Druzhba pipeline. A Polish defense contractor is to start producing a Ukrainian self-propelled howitzer as part of a Polish-Ukrainian joint venture. The collaboration will also enable Ukraine to export its battle-proven howitzer by circumventing legal constraints at home. The NATO-compliant 2S-22 Bohdana 155mm wheeled howitzer will be manufactured both for the Polish army and for export markets, as Poland is looking for a replacement for its aging fleet of Dana 152mm wheeled howitzers. At a unit price of around €2.8 million, the Bohdana is considered one of the most cost-effective options currently on the market. With more than 800,000 shells fired since production started in 2023, Bohdana is one of Ukraine's most stalwart battlefield assets. The joint venture carried out by Polish engineering firm Ponar Wadowice and Ukrainian Kramatorsk heavy machine tool plant represents Ukraine's first foreign foothold for the weapon. The deal will allow Ukraine to bypass its internal ban on the export of the howitzer due to domestic defense needs having priority. That's all for now. Thank you for watching and please stay with us here on TVP.